What's up? It's Jahkil Jackson with You Star. We're here with a former Loyola basketball player, Lucas Williamson. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. So we can jump right into it. What would you say is your basketball story? What got you into basketball and when did you fall in love with it?
I've been playing basketball ever since I was 2 years old. At a young age, my dad was always taking me to the YMCA. My mom worked at the YMCA, so I always had a gym to go to. And it was something like early on, I kind of just played because my dad wanted me to. And then later on, I realized that I was actually kind of good at it. And then all my boys played it growing up, so we just all had fun playing at the YMCA and just growing up. So that's when I really fell in love with it.
Okay, nice. What would you say has been your toughest challenge as a college basketball player?
As a college basketball player, I'd probably say just like getting adjusted to the college game, because it's so different than high school. It's like the speed is different. There's a lot of little things that you need to like master in order to just get on the court, right? Like defensively, there's a lot of like little small things like angles on the closeout. You can't miss checkouts. You just can't miss a lot of things that a lot of kids in high school they just simply don't know about. So it's just getting adjusted to the game was probably the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You probably have a different view to me since I'm in high school, but I'm looking forward to seeing that basketball world in college.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll never be able to watch basketball the same. Like I can't watch basketball as a fan anymore. Like I'll dissect everything.
Nice. So, lots of kids dream of going to schools like Duke, Kansas, UCLA, big schools like that. What made you choose Loyola?
Yeah, well, I mean, like a lot of kids, I mean, I had dreams of going to Duke in North Carolina and Kentucky, right? But in high school, I just realized like that wasn't my path. It wasn't my journey, and that's completely fine. My recruiting didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, but I mean, like I said, my journey was my journey, and I ended up choosing Loyola because I wanted to go somewhere where I was wanted and somewhere where I could work and truly work on my game, where the coaches believed in me. Coach Porter Moser, who was my head coach when I was getting recruited, his energy was infectious. Like, you just talk to anybody that he knows and they all will say great things about him. And the locker room was great. The guys were a really close-knit group of people. And I could really see myself at the university. So that was when I said, you know what, like I'll go to Loyola. I'm close to home. Mom and dad can come to every single game, which was important to me. And then I still get to represent the city that I know and love. So that was all that just combined to the perfect school for me.
Nice. So you chose what was best for you. And speaking of like people helping you through your journey, we've been through a couple of years of craziness with COVID. So what kind of kept you focused on your game?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a lifestyle. I mean, this is something that, now I'm really trying to do professionally. So it's like I've always had like a business-like approach to playing basketball. And like during COVID, it was tough because like there was no access to gyms for a good portion of time there. But it's just trying to try your best to do what you can. And then I was lucky that after the quarantine, that like lockdown phase of COVID, we were able to like get back into the gym, and then we were able to like do the COVID testings and things like that. And then at that point, it was like, that kind of like college lifestyle that you might know and love or you see on TV, you just couldn't do. Like you couldn't be around people. You couldn't go to parties. You couldn't go out. You couldn't really have fun because you didn't want to be that guy that got exposed to it. And if one person got exposed to it, the whole program shut down. So nobody wanted to be that guy. So it was like you just kind of had to know what was important to you, what's your priority. Did you really want to win championships, or did you want to have fun?
Yeah, I think a lot of us went through those struggles of not being able to go out, just being cooped up in the house. So yeah, it was a tough time, but I'm glad you were able to push through that and to be where you are today. So you had the honor actually of narrating the Loyola Project. So tell me about the documentary and your part in it.
Yeah, so I I've been blessed that I was presented with the opportunity to co-write and narrate the movie called The Loyola Project. It's about Loyola's national championship 1963 team, which was the first team to break the color barrier in college sports. You might be familiar with Texas Western and Glory Road, but this actually happened a couple of years before that. There was a rule in the 60s where you could play 3 black players at a time and 4 if you were losing. And that's I think it's a little funny because they're like, oh, like if you're losing, we'll bend the rule a little bit, we'll play 4. But Coach Ireland, he was kind of under scrutiny for losing. Like he wasn't really liked very well, and he said, you know what, like I'm just gonna play the best guys. And so the movie is just about what they went through on and off the court during that year in 1963, because not only did they compete at a high level with all the death threats and all the things that they had to go through, but they actually came through and won a national championship. So it's been cool to see that, the conversations that come out of that movie, because it's a sports movie, but obviously there's going to be some flack in there, some troubling stories in there. So it's been interesting to see the conversations that come out of that.
Wow, I never knew about that rule, so I'll definitely be looking into that. But you have said that you're not God's gift at basketball. I've heard you said that. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think one of the worst things that you could have one of the worst things you could do to kids especially is make them feel like they're God's gift to basketball. Because there's only a select few, like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, there's only like 5 guys that were God's gift to basketball, right? The rest of us have to find a role or find, kind of fit into a system or something like that. You still could be a very good basketball player, but like in terms of being God's gift to basketball, like it's highly unlikely that that's you. What I mean by that is, like, when I was in high school, my freshman year, that was the first time I realized that I wasn't God's gift to basketball, right? Because I walk in the gym, first person that I see is Jahkil Okafor, #1 player in the country. Paul White, top 100 player in the country. Miles Reynolds, top player in the city. Like, these are all guys that were head and shoulders better than me at the time, right? And I needed to get in the gym. I needed to work. I really needed to look myself in the mirror and say, okay, like, just because I'm not as good as them does not mean that I give up and quit and forget all my dreams. No, that just means I had a reality check, and that means that I needed to get into the gym and I needed to work and continue to grind. That's what I mean by I'm not God's gift to basketball. It means that I need to forever be learning. I need to continue to be working, and that doesn't mean that my dreams aren't attainable, but it just means that I have to work for it.
Yeah, definitely. Getting in the gym, working, and speaking of that, you actually helped your team make it to the Final Four. So that was a big moment, especially for me, seeing an actual Chicago team make it that far. We were rooting for y'all like the entire year, me and my family. So tell me about like how you prepare for that.
Like, prepare for the Final Four moment, or the game itself, or just the year in general?
Pretty much the year.
The year? Yeah, so the Final Four year was my freshman year of college. Like, what an introduction to college sports. But, like you said, like, I did play a role on that team. I played 20 minutes a game as a freshman on a senior-led team. But what people fail to realize is that those first 8 games that year, I did not play. Like, zeros across the board. And that's kind of what I meant by, like, kind of going to your prior question of not being God's gift to basketball, right? If you have that approach where, like, you feel like you're owed something, you feel entitled to something, you're not going to work towards something. So just because I wasn't playing early in the year doesn't mean that my opportunity wasn't going to come, right? So I always stayed ready for my opportunity. I can continue to work, work with Coach Drew until when my opportunity came, I was ready for it. And then I gained trust from Coach, and then gradually I gained more and more minutes down the year. And it got to the point to where, like, we were like expecting to win. Like it didn't matter who we played. Florida, top 3 team in the country. Tennessee, SEC champs that year. Miami, who averaged over 100 points per game. It didn't matter who we played. We were just expecting to win because of how we prepared, our attention to detail, our leadership. There were so many things that went right for us that year that I tried to emulate throughout the rest of my career. So that Final Four moment, that Final Four game, a lot of people see just a tournament, but it started in June, being on campus and working and trying to get better, trying to get 1% better every day, to preseason, to regular season, to conference play. Like all of that builds up to March and what you see in the tournament.
Nice. So you've been doing a lot of work on the road, working out with some NBA teams. So how's that been for you? And again, what have you been doing to prepare for these?
Yeah, I mean, it's been nothing short of a dream. I mean, you dream of this process that I'm doing right now, traveling to different teams, working out for them, being able to have the opportunity to play in front of NBA teams, NBA GMs, their front office, their scouts, and it's been a tough process because I'll literally fly from one city to the next, work out, then fly to another city, then work out the next day, then fly. It's like I'm everywhere, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So yeah, it's been fun, but it's been crazy at the same time.
Yeah, I bet. So lots of people talk about, LA and New York being like the top cities for basketball. But I feel like there's something special about Chicago kids playing basketball. So how would you say that you, being from Chicago, has impacted you as a basketball player and just in your everyday life?
I love this question because Chicago is who I am. So much of Chicago is rooted in my DNA. I wouldn't be who I am today if I wasn't born and raised here. And I just feel like Chicago has a certain style of basketball that just isn't replicated anywhere else in the world. Like if you grow up here, if you play basketball in the city, you just naturally have a certain type of vibe when you go on the court. Like a toughness, playing hard. Like you see Patrick Beverley in the NBA. Like there's a lot of Patrick Bevs in the city, right? But yeah, like I love representing the city. I love, and more importantly, I love being a positive story in the city, because especially now that I've been traveling a lot of people, they only hear the negative aspects of the city, but they don't hear, our stories. They don't hear the positive, and how much love is really in the city, how much talent is really in the city. So I just love being able to represent a city that I know and love that has done so much to me in a positive light.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of Chicago, there's been a lot of like rumors about Chicago throughout the years, us being really tough, all of that. So when you go out of town for tournaments or anything like that, do you get like different reactions based on like where you're from?
This was like in high school. We got it a lot in high school because we're all from Chicago.
Yeah.
The school is in Chicago. So like we would always try to like play that, all right, like we're from Chicago, like, even when we were at Whitney Young, like it was like, all right, we're still from Chicago, like we still have a certain brand of basketball that we play to impose our will, to kind of intimidate the other team, this toughness that you mentioned. So it's definitely something that I still try to play with that chip on my shoulder, type thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Now this is one of my favorite questions. What would you say has been your favorite year in college basketball? Would it be like a freshman year, sophomore?
Boy. I've never been asked that question. Definitely not sophomore year, because that's the year that I broke my hand twice.
Yeah,
that was not fun.
I believe that's when I met you, actually. Yeah.
Sophomore year, definitely not. It could be freshman year, but like freshman year was like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just playing. I would say, honestly, this last year, because I got an extra year, get an extra year of college. I mean, ask anybody that's been to college, they'll tell you that they'll want an extra year. I got an extra year of college. I got another year of being like playing with people that I love. But then at the same time, we worked really hard. We won another championship when we were leaving the conference. It was our last year in it. Like, there's a whole bunch of like little things that added up to why this year was so special, especially for me personally. So this last year was my favorite.
Okay, nice. I would have thought you would say freshman year because of like the amazing things y'all did, but you know, your last year is definitely a really big piece in your future in basketball. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because that freshman year, I really didn't know all of what into it. I really didn't appreciate what we did freshman year until the next year when we lost, and it was like, oh man, this is hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say to your 14-year-old self?
This is funny because I ask people, what would you say to your 23-year-old self? What would I say to my 14-year-old self? 14 was my freshman year of high school. I just got to Whitney Young. I would tell myself that, like, trust your instincts. I felt like when I was 14, like, I always like trusted my instincts, but like I really didn't like believe in myself to the point to where like I knew what I was doing and I knew that I was putting in the work and I knew that one day it was gonna pay off, but like there was a part of me that didn't feel that way. And I would say, you know, just trust your instincts. Like, you got good instincts, you know right from wrong, you know you're around good people. Like, as if you have good advice, if you're around good people, trust what people are telling you, but also trust your instincts, because it'll pay off. It will pay off, and you know it's gonna pay off. But just, you know, when the devil tries to get in your ear and tell you that it's not gonna pay off, just don't even pay it any mind.
Yeah, that's great advice for your 14-year-old self. Even me too, since I'm 14. Yeah. So, what is the last song that you downloaded, and what is the last song that you sung?
Last song that I sang, like, I don't, like, in the shower or like in front of people.
Not like sing like that you've like rapped the song like or something like that.
Well, the Future album is pretty good. I mean, Wait For You, that's a song that you could sing right there.
I heard one of the songs that I haven't listened to the whole.
You didn't listen to the whole album?
Nah.
All right, when you're done with this, you need to turn that on.
Yeah.
All right.
So now we're going to do some rapid fire questions. So let's get into it. So, Chicago Bears or Chicago Bulls?
Chicago Bears or the Chicago Bulls? Like, I got to pick one?
Yeah, if you had to pick one.
The Bulls.
The Bulls, of course. Yeah, we play basketball. So,
of course.
Deep dish pizza or Chicago style hot dog?
Hot dog, Chicago style hot dog.
All right.
I don't really like deep dish pizza. I mean, I like deep dish pizza. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't you know, say that I'm not a true Chicagoan or anything. But like, I feel like deep dish pizza is like an event type of thing. Like I don't know, like you go there for a birthday or something. Like, you can't. Nobody just wakes up and like says, "Oh, I want deep dish pizza today." You know? I don't know.
I've been craving that a little bit recently.
See, well, it's a craving thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Would you rather Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
All right.
Nike.
Let's see. Cubs or White Sox?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
What side are you from?
So I'm from the South Side.
Okay, so you have to pick White
This
Sox.
is not a rapid question. I got to tell you because, all right. So I grew up a Sox fan. When the Sox won in 05, I was happy, right? And then I stopped following baseball for like 6 years because I stopped playing it in 6th grade. I forgot all about baseball until the Cubs started winning games, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll cheer for Chicago. Then I was a Cubs fan, and then I moved up north, right? And then I was a Cubs fan for a little bit, and then they traded all my favorite players away, and I was like, then I realized I didn't really like the Cubs like that. I just liked the players. Like, I like Javi Baez, and then the Sox let me throw out the first pitch, and I was like, oh, I guess I'd be a Sox fan again now. So I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yeah, I've been on the South Side my whole life, so I'm gonna have to go with the Sox just because I don't even watch baseball like that. It's just like I know the knowledge of me being from the South Side, so I gotta go with the White Sox. All right, that's all for my questions. Thank you so much for being here. Do you want to say your social media where everybody can follow you?
Lucas _Williamson is my Instagram. Probably the best social media that I got.
All right, cool. Well, I'm Jahkil Jackson with You Start Media, and I'm out.
Go Blurs.